sports. This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, up on TSN 4, up on YouTube Live. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on today?
How we feeling this afternoon?
You don't ever talk to Gino Retta like that. I'll tell you that right now.
So what happened to Gino down there? He was at the presser.
Yeah.
They
Took his mic away.
Gino simply asked, John Chaika's been out of the game, and a lot of people I've talked to are talking about the daily details that go into being a general manager in the NHL. And Keith Pelly leaned over and he said, he knows the players, Gino. Wrong.
So.
Do not talk to Gino like that.
I agree. Don't take Gino's mic away, too.
And don't speak for John Chaika either. I just got to say this before we get into all the details of the presser. Keith Pelly needs to disappear for 2 years and not speak in front of a microphone because he's a disaster in front of the microphone. An unmitigated disaster. Stop it. Like all I've seen.
Continued throughout the successors of Lewicki, but that was the original Lewicki move. Bring down everyone from the ivory towers and come down and clap, which to me makes it more awkward because like Chaika does his speech. He reads his speech. Which
not a lot of emotion.
I'm not a huge fan of a red, but okay, he's nervous. You can tell he was nervous, and that's fair. He's nervous, and he kind of knows the bullets are coming out, and there's, he's kind of got to explain a lot of stuff. But he's reading his speech, and then it ends, and then the claps start. And I'm like, is it a wedding speech? Or it was like, you're at in front of like
extras from a commercial?
Yeah, like what are we clapping
When that guy
for?
stops talking, you clap.
Yes.
There's a sign that goes,
clap, applause. That's what it felt like.
We need a studio audience.
We should actually. Maybe we shouldn't be mocking that. Maybe we could actually use someone coming in. But I thought Keith and Chaika were very nervous, and they came off as very uncomfortable and kind of aware of what the mood in the room was likely to be.
Matt Sundin looked like $1 billion.
But I thought Sundin was like, "Hey, can we order some wine up here? Like, let's get some hors d'oeuvres."
He
looked like $1 million.
Yeah, he's a stud. He looks like $1 million.
Totally relaxed. Nothing written down.
No.
Like, hey, let's go.
Start talking.
I got things to say.
And I think he's a really good guy, and he's a really smart guy, and he was a fantastic player, and all of his experience and all of his knowledge, he could figure it out. Like, he'll figure out how to have a positive contribution. But the other stuff that was going on in that presser was bizarro world. Bizarro world. Like, I didn't understand the question when they simply asked about the suspension, and it was like, oh, the ownership stability in Arizona was tough. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know how, and I wasn't there. I can't speak for the guy. How did you not have a follow-up and say, excuse me, you didn't even answer the question? I didn't understand.
Well, it gets back to the Gino stuff. You get your question in, and they grab that mic, and it's like, it's out of here. And they're trying to control the messaging as much as possible. And that is something he's got to address, John Chaika. Like, he had a well-documented tenure in Arizona and exit in Arizona, and literally got suspended by the league and cost them draft picks for some other funny stuff happening on
Combine.
Exactly. So you're right, though. He didn't answer any of that. He just started speaking about stability, and it felt like from Chaika and Pelly's standpoint, it was, we have to do this. Yeah. Let's get this over with. We know it's not going well, and let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And to an extent, I can understand why that would be the case. Also, you can't necessarily predict exactly the line of questioning that is going to come your way.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a lot about the future. It was really more about the past and about the process, as opposed to actually laying out the vision for the team.
Yeah.
Which I think would be frustrating if you're fans, because I agreed that I wanted to hear from Pelly. Like, explain how you got to Chaika.
Right.
Explain how, of all the resources you have, all the 27 different people you interviewed, you go with a guy who hasn't been in the league in over 5 years and had a pretty disastrous tenure, the one place he's worked.
And I find it very difficult that they hired an up-and-up firm, okay, and that they would bring this guy to Keith Pelly and MLSE's attention. Hasn't been in the game for 6 years. The way it ended in Arizona, and you're telling me Neil Glassberg picked this guy out of a heap and said, this is the guy you got to go with? There's no way in hell that would happen. I'm sorry. It's not possible. It's not possible. If this is an up-and-up firm and this Glassberg guy is like the top of his profession, and this is what he handed you, the paper that says you got to go with this guy, there's just no way in hell.
That's not what happened here, though. Glassberg wasn't directing who they should hire. He was supplying them with the candidates.
Yeah, and Pelly gave a pretty good shout-out to him, too.
Yes. Now, I do wonder if there's a part of it that's kind of a cover. Like, if this doesn't go so well, go talk to that guy.
Exactly.
Go talk to the firm that supplied us with this guy.
There's so many layers to this. That's the one thing. Don't you think that the league would have to be involved in this just based on, as you talked about, John Chaika's exit? So I'm sure Gary Bettman and Bill Daly would have had to have been aware that, hey, we're going to hire this guy, because there is a checkered past, and whether he served his time, all of that type of stuff. But I think a lot of things, especially with, keep in mind, this brand, this is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This isn't, a team that's down south and not as big a market. So it's such a big brand. You think the league would be at least read in on the thought process of we're
of course they would be, and so clearly they were okay with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
they signed off on it. But
yeah, for sure.
If they're doing, it depends on who you talk to. Where if you talk to 20 people on one side or 20 people on the other,
everyone's got a different viewpoint.
That was what was
yes, said. And that is the reality of what came out today. And listen, it's been trickling out for a while. Yeah, I said on SportsCenter last night the Shanahan era is officially RIP. Because the way Shanahan operated for 10 or 11 years was a press release is when you found out what was going on. The whole world has known it's Chaika and Sundin for over a week. More than that this is going to happen. Now, we didn't know the exact titles, and the titles are still very confusing because...
That was a bit of a jumbled mess, too.
Yes.
I think Rosie DiMano asked the question. She's like, I don't know how this is working. Can you explain this?
Right.
Who answers to who?
And ultimately, what I took out of it was Keith Pelly is the guy at the top.
Yeah.
Like, Keith Pelly is not relinquishing his power as the guy that is the president and CEO that will ultimately make decisions on where this organization's going.
Which
Along
is
with the
bizarro
Raptors,
world.
Toronto
Bizarro
FC,
world.
that's fine, but that he is, if you're talking about a food chain, within that organization, he is at the top. Now, there are people above him. Yeah. Right? Like, let's not forget that. He doesn't own this team.
No.
There's an owner that owns it. He wasn't anywhere to be found today, which I found a little bit surprising. When Vladdy got signed, the owner was down there. Yeah. I didn't see the owner today. Maybe it would be a good idea to have the owner come out and speak at some point, right? Because there's one owner now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's only one guy at the top, really. I know it's a corporation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a board and all that, but it's Ed Rogers' show.
Ultimately, it's Edward Rogers that runs the operation. And when Vladdy signed... He was up there. When the Jays were doing their thing, going to the World Series, out there. Leafs are in – they have a real issue right now with their fan base.
Yeah.
Forget the media and forget the rest of the league. Like, people are going to take jabs at the Leafs, people from outside of this market.
Yeah.
The Leafs sell – the Leafs offer a lot of clicks. And it's the easiest thing to do right now is goof on everything Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the fans. And that's kind of the world that I live in.
Right.
Right? Like, some people are talking to managers and coaches and players and alumni. I'm talking to fans constantly who are saying, I don't know what the hell's going on with this team.
I got it twice today within 20 minutes at the
What
grocery
is
store.
happening here? Yes, exactly. And what am I supposed to lean on?
Yeah.
Like, there aren't that many redeeming qualities right now.
Yeah.
The players are getting stale. Call it what it is. Players are getting stale. I'm talking Austin and Willie and Tavares and Riley.
Yeah.
It's stale. It's been a decade. This year was a disaster. The players seem to have a viewpoint of, I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, and I just get me out of here, and that's someone else's problem. Craig Berube, not exactly a fan favorite right now as the coach of a team that had a disastrous season. Again, Craig wasn't there today. Not that I would expect he would be.
Right.
We'll get to his role in a few minutes here. But then you got the management type, Sundin aside, but there's a lot of confusion. What exactly is Mats? Is he an ambassador?
Yeah.
Is he the ultimate alumni? Is his voice really going to be heard? How much skin does he have in the game? If it doesn't work out, does he just go back to, hey, Matt's the player. Let's remember that. I'm going back to Sweden. I don't know. We don't have those answers. And then Chaika and Pelle is a completely different conversation in terms of the amount of faith people have. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, and I don't know if they understand that within that operation. They probably know fans can be fickle and things can change, and that is the reality.
Yes, and what they've done, all three of them that were on that podium today, what you take out of the presser is they've created an uphill battle for themselves because of where the team is, because of the way that presser went, and just that everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
It's just the fan base has got questions. They don't have faith. They don't like Keith Pelle, all of it. So they got an uphill battle to get everybody somehow back on board. But the bottom line is, whether you like John Chaika or you don't like him, you can be critical of the hire, but the guy hasn't made one transaction yet. It could work somehow. Who knows?
Sure.
He could be some brilliant mind, because there's been hirings where I look at the hiring and I'm like, that's an interesting one. Kent Hughes, you ever even heard that guy's name before? Montreal?
Right, he was an agent. They brought him in.
But did you ever hear? I mean,
no, exactly. He wasn't in the running for
Did you ever know Bill Zito's name before he took that job in Florida? No. I was like, man, what are they? Who's Bill Zito? You kind of have questions.
Yep.
You're like, what are these guys going to bring to the table? And the proof is in the pudding. They got the job done. They put a quality product on the ice, and you look differently. You're like, man, that Bill Zito sure knows what the hell he's talking about and what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Well, there's an opportunity for John Chaika to do that.
100%.
So as much as you could be frustrated with what you've witnessed with the pressers and the news clips and all the info you have before going into this, not one transaction has been made. You don't really know how he views the team. We didn't really get into the details of that, how he views it and what he thinks it needs. But this guy could be dynamite. You never know. You got to wait and see what he does.
Well, that's very true. And that's important to point out also that he is stepping in to a scenario where, again, it kind of hit rock bottom this year, which makes it even more challenging for him.
Yes.
And I'll give you an example. When Anthopoulos left and Atkins came in, people were like, wait a minute. We like this guy.
Yeah, they had an instant hate on because they love Anthopoulos.
But what stopped them from really going all in was, the team's actually really good, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't. The average fan, I think, they don't want to know about what's going on in the front office. Wins and losses, that's what matters. And when Ross Atkins showed up, it was, wait a minute, this is weird. Anthopoulos finally got us back to the playoffs for the first time in forever. But Donaldson's playing and Bautista's playing, and the first year he was on the job was in 2016. They went back to the ALCS.
Right.
Chaika is taken over after one of the most disastrous seasons in franchise history.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get that grace period even, where it's like when Dubas took over from Lou. There's a lot of like, man, I don't know if this is the right play, but hey, this team's like really good. So he couldn't possibly screw this up.
They were on a pathway.
Exactly.
That's the one thing.
Chaika doesn't get that benefit because the team's not in a good place. They may not have their pick in 24 hours.
There's a lot to be sorted out here from just a team standpoint. But there is a lot of work to be done here, regardless of who. What if they hired Julien Brisebois today and announced it? There's Julien Brisebois.
Still the same team.
Still got to go to work
Right.
and really put in a lot of work. Lots of decisions to be made. And we might not see the first 3 moves that pay off for a year or two because it's a trade or it's this and that. Like, you're going to have to give them time. The problem is exactly what you said, Brian. He's not taking over an organization that has been 2 years into Auston Matthews' career and heading in that pathway. They're kind of at the crossroads right now, and there's big decisions to be made.
And they're on the wrong side of it, quite frankly, right now, until they prove otherwise.
Exactly.
Based on this past year and the fact that they've won 2 playoff series in 10 years.
Yes, there's a lot to look at in a negative standpoint and go, can this be fixed? We don't know the vision. We haven't heard. And I don't think they're going to come out and go, this is exactly the vision. They don't even know if they have their pick come tomorrow night. Things are going to move quickly. They've decided that this is the management team for now. I would like to see who John Chaika is going to hire because they have, 6 AGMs? I don't think everyone's coming back.
No. Well, Shane Doan's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if all of that's
But I think there has to be a house cleaning and then bringing in new and getting things going.
So, go ahead.
There needs to be a house cleaning with that, Jamie, and then they need to do the dirty work, which is get the truth from the players the old school players, if there's any of them left, and from the coach about what the hell's going on in that locker room. You want to talk about culture and culture change? Don't go in there saying, I got to have this guy on my team because he's X and people buy his jerseys. They need to find out the truth of what the hell's going on there. Like the real truth.
Well,
who's a pretender? Who's for real? Who needs to be around? And then they got to do their business. If they're going to bluff it and just have opinions about people that are just staying no matter what, then they're not doing the job properly.
A couple things on that. That's where I think Sundin's value can really come into play because he should know that more so than Chaika, certainly more than Keith Pelly. Like Sundin has been the captain of this team. He's played in the league for a long time. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's been in a million dressing rooms. He should be the one. I would like to believe that's his responsibility. Get to the bottom of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But with that said, this is, and I don't think it was resolved today at all, one way or the other. I didn't leave here feeling swayed one way or the other from the press conference today, but there is a belief that Keith Pelly is running the operation and has effectively supplied a mandate and might explain why Chaika ultimately gets the job in the end because other esteemed members of the hockey community wouldn't accept the parameters, including the head coach, which this is what doesn't jive well with me, is that if you're selling Chaika as this progressive, revolutionary mind that sees angles nobody else sees and has access to different data and different viewpoints that no one else sees.
Right.
But you're going to ask him to keep the most old school coach in the game. I don't think that's unfair to describe Craig that way.
Sure. Yep.
Like I don't. He's been in the league for 40 years. He's an old school guy.
Yeah.
It's not a bad. I'm not. That's not a disparaging comment.
No, it's the truth.
That ran the bench of a team that was analytically, arguably the worst team in the league in terms of shots, shot suppression, slot, all that kind of stuff. How can you explain that to me?
Right.
With the exception of Keith Pelly has told him Craig Berube staying.
I'll take it a step further.
How can you explain that to me?
Can't.
You can't.
Well,
if the question is, hey, we got a real culture issue, the coach is responsible for a lot of the culture.
Here's the other thing.
The players are.
Well,
so what is the coach's responsibility then?
Accountability for one, which is part of culture. So here's what I'll say though: there might be a mandate where it's like we are looking at, and this is a business. You come back to numbers, and Craig Berube has $4 million. What does he have left on his deal?
Well, and that's the other point is if it's about money, he's got 2 years left at $4 million.
Okay, so there's $8 million.
Not a positive sign.
But it is a business standpoint where it's like, we're not doing that. We're doing this. It might have been, and it could be, where for the last 10 years they've had success in the regular season. They made money doing all these things. But ultimately, we haven't gotten any farther than what we wanted to be. And we spent a bunch of money. Shanahan made a bunch. I'm sure everybody else, there's 6 AGMs. Everybody's making money. Keith Pelly's job is probably to like streamline that and go, we've got to sort out not overspending, but still having a quality organization.
Jamie, you're telling me the most valuable organization in the National Hockey League is going to streamline on the head coach, the most important position of all time?
I'm just trying to think outside the box.
I think that might be happening.
But I'm just trying to.
But that's what I'm saying. And if it is, that's.
I'm trying to give you alternate thinking to. Maybe this is where the thought process is. We believe we've got a good coach here. I've always said this, so I'm going to back it up or at least double down on my comment. You can fire a coach in October. You can fire if you don't like what you're seeing early on. I don't think if you felt, and Keith Pelly felt like the whole last season was like that's because of bad coaching, then he should have been fired with Brad Treliving. But he didn't. So he's asked John Chaika, you do the evaluation. The way you build your team, can Craig Berube coach it, or is it going to be your next hire? Mm-hmm. And if you're John Chaika to take the job, if that's the mandate, it's like I can still build a team and he can coach, but ultimately that'll be my first bullet.
And listen, that happens all the time.
All the time.
All the time that a new GM comes in, inherits a coach. Treliving did it with Keefe. Dubas did it with Babcock, and they let it play out. But it became inevitable that they were going to move off those guys.
Yes.
Like you just knew they were going to.
Of course, they're not their guys.
That's all I'm saying is if you're selling, we're going to be competitive and win next year. I'm not sure how the two jive. And listen, the money part of it, yes, it's a business.
Right.
But that, again, is possibly an answer as to why they're in the position they're in. You know, like I don't know what Chaika's making, but I'd be willing to guarantee he's not making what Brendan Shanahan was making. No. Like I'd guarantee you that. And I don't think he had a ton of leverage to say, no, I'm not taking that job unless you meet my price.
Right.
I can't imagine that was happening.
And you just talked about the creative ideas and different ways and access to different things, data, whatever it might be. If all of his answers come up saying that this team can compete for a Stanley Cup next year, baloney, man. It's not possible. It's not possible for anybody, regardless of what your views or thoughts are on hockey, to think that this team could be a contender next year, because anyone with half a brain knows it won't be.
What I would love to
It's not possible to make the appropriate amount of changes to make this team a competitor next year. Not possible.
You know what, those comments, those words coming out of your mouth, it's fair to say, but I would love to say we are starting the process. Like I would use the word process.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some frame, which they do. They got some great players there. Austin Matthews is a great player. If he's healthy, one of the best in the league. You've got some players there that you can build around. So you start the process of changing the culture, changing, some of the players in that dressing room. You can start the process very quickly, like we've seen the Montreals do. Like we've seen, it took San Jose a little bit, Anaheim. Like some of these teams that are arriving or have arrived.
But Jamie, you can't do both, though. You can't do what Kyle Dubas did in Pittsburgh and change things over and also compete for a Stanley Cup. Right, that is not possible.
But I'm saying don't use those words. We want to be competitive, and we are building a program here to get to the ultimate goal. That's the way I would spin it.
No, but it is important to point that out because you're right. Chaika is not on a 6-month contract or tryout.
Yeah.
Like he could be the GM for the next 10 years, 15 years. This is a very important offseason, clearly, because they have to right a lot of wrongs, and they're in a bad place. Right. And that's because for a decade they went all in, and they never paid off
for 10
them.
years.
They had a really good team, and it never paid off. And unfortunately, they had the players that just didn't have what it took to get them over the top in the biggest moments.
Right.
That didn't change today either, right? The DNA of the players in the biggest moments did not change because there's a new GM.
Right.
But that is 100% a valid point. Like Chaika, whoever it is, isn't going to turn this over overnight. And really, what has to happen here in the process, ultimately, and this will take some time, is they need to create a well-oiled machine. Yeah. That's what you need to be, which doesn't guarantee winning all the time. There's only one winner every single year.
Tampa. Pretty damn good team,
but you need to establish a way of going about your business where you have a farm system, you have amateur scouting that's high-end, you have professional scouting that's high-end, you have a team that has a creed and they work towards that. You have a coach that's on the same page as the management and everyone else, the players that want to be here, the players that want to be here for the right reason. And ultimately it does start at the top.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's if it's about money, like if you look at winning as the best part about winning is you make the most money.
Right.
I think you're going to shortchange yourself. And I think you're going to cut corners. And I don't think you can ultimately get there in the end. Like, I'm not naive enough to look past the business element of all this. I get it. Like, but they make money. They make a lot of money.
Yeah.
If the passion within the organization is not an obsession with winning a championship, which cannot happen overnight, it's going to take a long time, with or without Matthews, with or without Nylander. Right. Like, this team existed for 100 years before Austin showed up. It will be here for hundreds of years after he's gone.
Yeah.
You got to establish, and this is the job of Chaika and Sundin now, you got to establish like pillars of the organization that will not be pushed aside. And I can't emphasize this enough, and I feel like I've been yelling and screaming about it for a couple of years now. They've got to draft and develop, and you've got to get draft picks, and you got to get young players in here. And that's more of a focus for me, and that's where I'm more curious what Chaika can do. Yes, the Matthews stuff in reality will be just as much to do with ownership as it will with John Chaika.
Right.
And that doesn't matter who they hired. Brisebois, Zito, I don't believe any GM that was up on that podium today will have the autonomy to say, I don't want Austin Matthews anymore. Right. That will be between Austin and Keith Pelley, Austin and Edward Rogers.
Right.
That's where those decisions will be.
Absolutely.
The GM may be in there and will be a part of it in some capacity. The GM was never going to make that call. Likely not when it comes to William Nylander. Maybe it's a different conversation with that. But where they will actually pay off for the fans in the end that Pally won't have a role in, Rodgers won't have a role in, is Chaika can get people turning in the right direction if you start drafting and developing and come up with a plan and start executing that plan where it looks like, wow, this team's getting young, they're getting fast, they got good players showing up, there's a good signing, there's a good trade, because the tide can turn quickly.
Yes.
And I referenced Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. 2 or 3 years ago, they were the most wanted men in the city, not from a good standpoint. Nothing positive about them. Everyone was ready to pack their bags personally and drive them to Pearson. Then they got to the Game 7 of the World Series, and all of a sudden it was like, man, I really like the way these guys operate.
Yeah.
Pretty
and
good.
by the way, leading up to it, their tenure, they were kind of hated and would have been on the way out if that didn't happen.
100%. So, it can turn. Things can turn. But in order for it to turn, you've got to find Addison Barger, and you've got to find
Clement,
and you've got to sign guys, and you got to hire the right people.
Kirk, we were all like, this guy.
All these different things
Rick
have
Grinder.
to, yes, and that. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, Matthews and Nylander are going to get a lot of it. Berube is going to get a lot of the chatter. Those are the big boys within the organization. Where Chaika can really make an impact on this franchise is get everything beneath the surface that clearly is not good enough.
Right.
Because if it was, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in right now.
Right.
And get the beneath the surface stuff out of the way and actually moving it in a positive way.
Yeah.
Then this can work out in the end. And I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that front.
You have
to see what he does.
You have to, because there's this is the decision they've made.
You've matured.
I mean,
try my best.
You didn't have to face any question. that question alone was probably the toughest.
You're talking
question.
Steve Simmons' question?
That was probably the toughest question I've ever seen in a press conference in the history of press conferences.
Yeah.
He did reporting, and he asked the question on it. I would have phrased it a little bit differently, but he asked the question.
Well, he asked the question that ultimately what everybody is asking.
Right.
Everybody.
Yeah.
In Toronto, fans, media, executives, and hockey people throughout the world, you guys talk to a million of them.
Yes.
Is how the hell did it get to a point where John Chaika is the GM of the Leafs?
And by the way,
that's just a fact.
Yeah.
That's just a reality.
Yes. If anybody thinks that Steve Simmons was trying to be dramatic with those comments, he's bang on, because I get the texts, I get the phone calls. You've got to be kidding me with what's going on in Toronto. He's dead right with that.
Right.
This is
Chaika's run in Arizona
was disastrous.
Was a disaster.
Yes. And then he vaulted up to be the lead candidate for the most prestigious job in the National Hockey League. It doesn't add up.
It's a classic if you had it told me.
Well, that's
6 months ago. I'd say never in a million years.
Exactly.
That's
here we are.
We were talking about it off air. Like, you had Lou and Babs. Who else? You had Dubas and Babs into Dubas and Keefe. And now it's Chaika and Matz.
Yeah.
And Chief.
And Berube. It does seem like Berube's going to stick around. And listen, Craig can have an impact on the team.
He certainly. That's why.
And he could be motivated too. Like, let's see what he's got next year. I'm not painting him as a guy that's not capable of adapting or seeing the world differently into the future. But
man, oh man,
it was a bad year. And like, again, lastly, Vegas just fired their coach with 8 games to go, who had won them a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But up here, I can't do it. But we got to wait. We got to see how it all plays out. It doesn't.
You have to be cutthroat
level.
in this business.
You have to be.
You really do.
Unfortunately, you have to be.
Yeah.
That's why guys are generally people are so compensated and compensated well. All right, Rays coming up today. The Stanley Cup playoffs are continuing. It was a crazy one yesterday. We'll get into that. The Raptors are out. Jays split the series in Minnesota. We got a lot to get into today. Lots to get into today. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Scotty and Rory look to extend their major mastery.
Rory McIlroy, remarkable.
Against a world-class field, hungry for their own moment of immortality. The PGA Championship on TSN and TSN+. NASCAR action here on TSN and TSN+.
The 2026 World Hockey Championship on TSN.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Just watch me dance.
All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you more ways to play your game your way. Ray Ferraro coming up this afternoon. At the NBA playoffs continuing, Stanley Cup playoffs continuing tonight. We've got a bar play list, B listing, right? I got an updated B listing.
Dobish better be on there.
I have some options when it comes to Montreal.
That guy in Montreal
Dobish, no gear, Champagne Lounge, Shapery.
I got some names on there that are going to pique your interest.
All right, fair enough.
Pique your interest. All right, so the press conference was announced today. It was cool that like some alumni were down there. Dougie Gilmore, Wendell Clark, Darcy Tucker down there, and
Your friend?
yes, our friend, mutual friends,
Well, I don't
right?
know
All
that.
three guys that love the Leafs and have a passion for it. But I found it interesting there were no current Leafs there. Like for such a massive day, the history of the organization, no current Leaf could be down there to kind of
Hey, they went to Cleveland yesterday, though.
They were in Cleveland.
Yeah.
They did make it
Supporting
to Cleveland.
the team in Cleveland.
Here's Chris Johnston, our TSN hockey insider. Unless I missed them, CJ, did you see any current Maple Leafs down there?
I did not. It was at Real Sports, so it's a little dark. So it's entirely possible, I guess, someone was at the back of the room and I missed them, but certainly no one was up front and center the way the alumni were in the front row there.
Yeah, is that a surprise to you at all? That
like even Austin Matthews, did you not think that he might be a
seems
guy
like
that
a big day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not personally surprised by that. I mean, this is a weird time for the organization, right? And as you saw, it's not the party-like atmosphere that sometimes surrounds these hirings where you're turning the page and there's a lot of optimism. And so, I don't know why or if anybody was asked. I don't have any reason to believe that they were and said no, but I don't know if you want to attach yourself to this right now with the way this is being received and obviously the way things ended up going at the press conference itself.
TJ, I saw your tweet where you said one word to describe the presser was uncomfortable. Was it just like you got the heebie-jeebies down there, or just what the hell was going on?
Yeah, I can't recall, and I've been around a long time, guys, at a major availability like that where there just was that kind of feeling, very uneasy, not a lot of it's weird. There's not like a takeaway from that press conference, right? There's not one quote where you're like, wow, this is what we learned. Obviously there's the one question that everyone's talking about that Steve Simmons asked in that instance. But, just was a very uneasy feeling. And we didn't really get a lot of specific explanation from Keith Pelly about the process that led to hiring John Chayka, why they were comfortable, doing so after the sanctions the NHL placed against him and the Coyotes after his time there a few years ago. Even the fact he's had a gap since he's worked in the NHL, how that'll all go. I mean, it's not as I say, it's not really a happy type of announcement the way that sometimes these things tend to be. There's not a whole lot of optimism, I don't think, right now around the organization. Now, we got to let these guys do their job. That can always change. It doesn't. Just because the first day went this way doesn't guarantee it's going to stay this way, but that's the way it felt. And there's definitely a feeling of kind of paranoia in the room, too. I think that there's a lot of people looking around and wondering what's going on right now, and you're just not finding a lot of answers.
Paranoia in which way? What do you mean by paranoia in the room?
You just felt a lot of, like, people looking over their shoulders.
Like you're talking from like Keith Pelly and the Maple Leafs, like Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, you mean?
Let's call it as it is. I've written a couple stories along with Jonas Siegel and James Myrtle at The Athletic. Keith made reference to some of the things included in those stories that they're, falsehoods. You just got a weird sense. I think that they're wondering, of course, who we spoke to for especially the one story that, we had a lot of unnamed sources from around the organization. It just feels like this isn't an organization right now that's in a good place. I mean, the roster is what it is. This process has been a little jangly and all over the place. Obviously, this set of hires, I don't think, even though Mats is a legend, obviously, in this city and for this organization. I mean, it doesn't all feel quite right at the beginning. And as I said, I mean, I'm willing to allow everyone to do their job and see where we end up. I mean, I'm not saying this can't work, but you can't ignore the fact that this isn't being hailed as, a great achievement that they've, come back with this front office. And I just didn't get a sense of a plan either. I mean, they were pretty clear they're not rebuilding, but how they're going to go from 28th this season to being competitive next year, how they're going to get the top guys on board with where they're at. I mean, there was more questions than answers at what was, 30-plus minute press conference.
With Chris Johnston, you referenced, yourself, Jonas, James, and your articles in The Athletic. Keith Pelley addressed some of that towards the end of the presser. Here was what Keith Pelley had to say about that.
There have been countless erroneous reports and inaccurate information over the past 6 weeks, including, and we just didn't want to comment on them. But, including some that I was using AI during the trade deadline. And Neil is John's agent. Preposterous, right? All of it. And Ty wasn't involved in the process whatsoever. It's another erroneous rumor.
How do you respond to that, CJ?
Well, I never reported anything to do with John and Neil Glassberg being connected, so that's not anything for me. As for the other two aspects, I stand by anything that was printed, and we went to the organization with the AI stuff ahead of printing it. I think it was accurately reflected that people in the room felt that was the case, and that Keith himself said that's not what he was doing. And that's what the story said. If you read the way it was written, as for Ty Domi's influence here, you don't have to look too far. John Chayka mentioned actually today in the scrum with reporters, Ty was there when he first met Matt Sundin back at the Memorial Cup in 2012 when Max was playing for the London Knights. And so, Ty has been part of knowing both of these guys. I don't think it was ever said that Ty made the hiring. It's more that he has clear connections to both, and I think that's that. So, look, we can get into nitpicking things. The facts are the facts, and I stand by any of the facts printed under my name in those stories.
CJ, that's the one thing I brought up. Like, the one of the things I did touch on is John Chayka might do a fantastic job, but just how we got here continues to baffle people. And I find it really difficult to understand how a firm, an agency, brought this guy to Keith Pelley and the Toronto Maple Leafs, considering his track record in Arizona, his past, the whole nine. Like, how do you think they got past all of that and still said, here's John Chayka, this guy is really fit for this title? It's bizarre, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I think they were looking beyond, I guess, what we call typical hockey circles in a sense. And if you sit and look at John and listen to him, he talks a lot of the same language that someone like Keith Pelley does. He's got extensive experience in the business world, beyond just the hockey world. And I think he ticks a lot of boxes in the way that he can sell a vision and talk about organizational structure and all those things that I think, ultimately land him in a position to get hired for a job like this. That's the best way that I can take a guess at it. We didn't hear anything today specific as to why, he emerged from others. Keith Pelley mentioned that they talked to 27 people. That's a lot of candidates. That's a lot of folks. And some of the names that we know that have been out there, are working and have worked these last 6 years and beyond in the NHL, whereas, John hasn't been in that world. So, I'm just seeing a lot of surprise on my phone from people around the league, right? I think that part is, it's true. What was in Steve Simmons' question. Like, there is a lot of people just wondering how the Leafs got here. I don't think we got a clear answer on that, but I am willing to sit back and let the guy do his job too. For how they got there, that's we could all sort of, I guess, land where we want, but now he's got the job.
He's here, exactly.
And we're going to talk about the decisions he makes or doesn't make. I think that's the only way we can kind of treat this. And we got to be fair to him too. And to be fair to John, he stood in front of those questions today and he answered them. He even heard one that probably won't get nearly the play, but he was mentioned what he'd learned in Arizona, and he said that he probably didn't value his relationships around the league as much as he should have, and recognizes that he was young then, and that's probably how you get to a position like today where maybe people don't have the best things to say about him in the industry. But he mentioned that he was a single guy back then. He's now a father of three. He's obviously learned a lot, as we all do through our careers. So I'm with you, O-Dog. I actually think there's a world that this could work, and that he's still an exceptionally young guy, and he does have experience in the industry. It's just, it's kind of starting under a cloud, I think, just because of the way his tenure specifically in Arizona ended.
Well, with that in mind, his reputation around the league, it's an exclusive club. There's 32 GMs in the world.
Yeah.
the National Hockey League. Is there any reason to believe his reputation and his time in Arizona is going to affect how he works with the rest of the league?
I think ultimately there's tensions that exist between the GMs all the time, and you still have to find a way to do business. It's like operating in a small town. Not everyone's best friends, but you sort of are going to keep encountering each other in day-to-day life. So, I wouldn't go quite that far just yet. But I will say, I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of time here, and the Leafs are talking about being competitive next season, and it's May 4th.
Not happening.
He's got to make some big decisions, as anyone would that's being thrust into that job at this point. He doesn't have a lot of time to do it. At this point in time, he doesn't have any assurances. His captain, Austin Matthews, wants to be back next season. I think that still has to be a matter that's resolved. There's a lot to get done here, and it's got to be a difficult spot for anyone to be thrown into that, but especially if you haven't been in that circle and in that world for the last 5.5 years, as Chaika hasn't. I mean, I don't know how that's going to go for him, but it's a lot, and I'm sure kind of the gravity of him, if it hadn't hit him already, hit him like a ton of bricks today with the way this was all received and went down.
Absolutely. All right, CJ, good stuff, buddy. Thank you for doing this. We'll do it again soon.
All right, boys. Take care.
Chris Johnston joining us. Ray Ferraro in about 20. So, yeah.
He stands by his comments, though. That's the thing. Like, those articles, like they lay out a lot of things, and there's been some dysfunction there. And for Keith to kind of say, well, that's erroneous. I mean,
not
it. They've got an opportunity to fix it, put it that way, because they didn't have a good year. I think everybody had a poor year there.
Yeah, top to bottom, the organization.
Got an opportunity to get better here.
And listen, tomorrow night can go a long way.
Yep.
Get a couple lottery balls fall your way, right? There's a positive
story. It's got to start trending in the right direction. I said a couple months ago, when the nonsense came out about the kids skating around with the flag that was charged $1,000 to do that, you want to talk about an impact that Matt Sundin can have. Just wipe that off.
Yes, that's where Matt's
get rid of that.
Really.
But the brand took a hit. Like, it's taking a hit. It has been. Like, for the last 6 months, it's been nonsense. And they have an opportunity to flip the switch and do something about it. Do I think the on-ice product can do that? I don't. I think this team's in a bad spot in all areas. Prospects, picks, the team on the ice, all of it's a mess. It's not an easy fix. If someone thinks they're going to be competitive next year, sorry, you're dead wrong.
Well, they got a lot of, that's where I came back to. They got a lot of work ahead of them. And I think the process starts where it's like, we've got to rebuild or retool here very quickly and get going. It might take a couple years, or it might take, I go to Pittsburgh did in the offseason, a couple moves here or there. Mm-hmm. But in the end, Pittsburgh lost in the first round.
Yeah.
And they've still got lots of work to do there. So, again, every organization, other than one, always has work to do. And even the one that wins, they're going to lose players.
Contracts are coming up. It's tough to stay on top. And, just feel like we're talking about two separate things, right? Like Chaika and what he's going to do. And then, Sundin, again, Matt's is the epitome of class. He's a very confident guy. He sat up there, no notes, and started talking. And I'm very curious what he has to say and what he implements for the players. How you operate, how you conduct your business. Will they listen? I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, Matt hasn't played here in 20 years. It's been a long time. Like, now, regardless of what happens in this position, I still don't even know what the position really is. No one really does.
Right.
His number's still going to be retired. They're not going to chisel him off Legends Row.
Right.
All the records are going to stand. Right. The player that is Matt Sundin has been established, and that will always be here. But he has a chance to add to that if he can start putting his fingerprints on different things. Right. And I'm very curious what Matt Sundin ends up doing, or how much we actually find out about what he's doing. Is he just going to fade into the background now? I don't know. Or is he going to be more prevalent within the marketplace? I guess we'll find that out.
He's got to have a big impact on the program.
Yes.
Like the actual culture and program of this group, that is where the impact for Matt Sundin.
I agree, but I think, again, an issue is that we feel like that has to happen. Austin's been here for a decade. Willie's been here for 10 years. John's been here for 8. My point being is those guys.
But he might walk in.
They've been Leafs as long as he was ever a Leaf.
He might walk in and say, I'm sorry, we need a different mix here. Player X, Y, and Z got to go, because they just don't. For my vision, they don't fit.
Yeah.
That's
we'll see if he's got the power to do that.
Yeah.
Ray coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, shout out to the RBC Canadian Open. Some huge announcements. Your boy Fitzy's coming up this year.
Tommy Fleetwood is there.
Tommy's coming back. Tommy Fleetwood's going to be there. Matt Fitzpatrick, who legitimately, outside of Cam Young, is probably the hottest golfer in the world. Wow, Scheffler's still the man. But
what about Jamie Rydell with the Order of Canada?
Yes, shout out. Shout out to Jamie. He looked great up there. Lawrence Applebaum presented him with a beautiful plaque, I think it was today. And they're up there today. We missed out on Media Day because we had to come in and do the show, but they're up at TPC Osprey Valley today. And very excited for that because Fitzy's coming up, Koepka's coming up, Homa's coming up, Morikawa's coming up, Jacob Bridgman. No McIlroy this year. Rory's he's doing his own thing. Like he just skipped Doral. Really he's skipping everything.
By the way, Doral, it was like practice round crowd.
There was nobody at that course. Nobody.
It was awful. I could not believe my eyes. Best players in the world at Doral.
Yeah. Like you've got now Cameron Young just lapped the field. But you got Cameron Young and Scotty Scheffler in the final group on a Sunday in beautiful weather. Yeah, nobody's there.
14 people around the green.
There was nobody there. It was crazy. That will not be the case at the Canadian Open. I can guarantee you that.
It's going to be packed.
It's going to be phenomenal. We can't wait to get up there.
You want me on the bag this year for the Pro-Am?
Are you doing the Pro-Am?
I haven't discussed it yet. No, I don't know. I wouldn't presume that. But there's a lot of people that want to do it. I always say I'm willing if you need somebody.
If you're in Nikki Taylor's group, I'm on the bag.
Okay.
Why don't you play?
Yeah, we got to get you back out there with your Texas wedge. This guy, I knew this guy was sweating like Keith Pelly when we were at St. George's. And 50 yards down the fairway, he pulls his putter out and putts one onto the green. I go, dude, I've never seen you hit a Texas.
I know, I can't. I couldn't do it.
I've never seen you hit a Texas wedge.
My game at that time was junk. Like, if I was 150 away, I was putting it.
Yeah. This guy putts it 50 yards down the fairway.
Wow.
That's a Darcy Tucker play.
He loves that.
No one loves a Texas wedge like Tux.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
Dude, he'll put one inside 6 feet like it's nothing. From 70 yards out.
Really?
Just a whack of the putter, the spider.
Sweating like Keith Pelly. That's a comment.
Keith was nervous today.
Wow. Dude, when the questions came about the stuff in Arizona, like he had the whiskey mitts grabbing that water jug. It's insane.
He was nervous up there. All right, Ray Ferraro coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Get back on the train, folks. 5 o'clock hour. Brian Hayes, Jamie McLennan, Jeff O'Neill. We are now sprinting to the 6 o'clock hour. And I just want to let everybody know, generally in these types of situations, we have one of these bigwigs on our show. Apparently, they're all too busy. They couldn't come on today.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Pretty busy.
What are you going to do? That's the beauty of this show. It just continues to chug along.
Roll along.
It doesn't really matter who's on. We love having people on.
Yeah.
But the three of us are going to be here, and we're going to give our honest opinions on everything.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you like it or you don't, this is what's coming.
Yep.
With a mix of humor in there as much as we can.
A little bit.
Just a little pinch of having good times. I almost brought a Snickers in today. So this is what happened to me on Friday.
Yes.
Okay, I'm at a
rink.
rink.
Who gave you that stupid chocolate bar?
I love
I'm blanking. I have multiple shout-outs that I'm supposed to give out today.
Just think of them.
Which I blame you because you're the shout-out guy. You're like, I just got to give a shout-out to Ron from Ron's Blinds in Collingwood.
Exactly.
Like,
Put up the blinds the other day.
And you want me to start with my shout-out for the day?
Go ahead. 10%. I'm sure you have one.
To Robbie, my neighbor.
Shout-out.
Because I had to clean something out in my garage that needed a Sawzall. And Robbie came over yesterday like in Army gear. This guy gets involved when you have to cut something down.
Okay.
earmuffs, glasses, Sawzall, and he said to me, "Oh, dog, power off in this shed." I said, "Robbie, yeah." I said, "Take a look around. Nothing." I just thought he meant, is anything on, lights, but
meant like electrical stuff.
You cut through an electrical.
Like you're supposed to really like.
I was supposed to shut the panel off, and Robbie got the Sawzall cooking.
Oh.
And sparks started flying, and I thought Robbie was going down, but he's all right.
Okay. That's like Marv in Home Alone 2.
I know.
Like,
He almost went Marv, Home Alone 2. And he said, "Oh, dog, I thought you said everything would shut off." I said, "Robbie, my bad."
Shout out to Robbie. That's actually worthy. You almost killed the guy.
Yeah.
You should probably give him a shout out. Right? So Adam,
Also, shout out to Big Jack, ornamental, aluminum. Did my railing today. Jack, name's Steve, but I call him Jack.
Yeah, I mean,
just shout outs.
people that work around.
Who's yours, too? Who gave you the Snickers?
Okay, so Adam, shout out to Adam on Friday. I'm sitting there. We're at a rink. Tryout season coming to an end. Everything went well. It's awesome. Everyone's having a great time. I know a lot of parents are going through that right now, girls and boys hockey.
Yeah.
And Adam sneaks up and just passes me a Snickers and goes, "Enjoy that. For me, that one's on the house." So people are like handing me Snickers bars now
the new
out
Hayes
in public.
is a fraud.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Instead of Hayes is a fraud, Hayes is hungry for Snickers.
Okay, so
because you're a thief and you stole all my Snickers.
I'll tell you what. There's people that are in my corner. I went out for lunch with Joe Bowen. Okay, I took Joe Bowen out for lunch to Harbor 60. And the general manager thinks that you're lying about the whole thing.
No,
it's a video.
He brought us dessert with 3 Snicker bars on it and chocolate icing. And
That's not true.
It said Hayes is a fraud. I got the picture. I'll show you.
You know what he just did?
Right.
Another shout out.
Exactly.
Just one more. Hey, I'll give you a shout out. I'll make it subtle.
Shout out for a free
That was
meal
it was a
Harbor
Joe
60.
Bowen, but mixed in with a Harbor 60 shout out. I know what you're up to.
Yesterday, I go to get on the plane, and my Air Canada concierge comes by. Corey, good friend. As we're getting on the plane,
Air Canada shout out.
Shout out. There's another one.
hands me a Snickers and goes, "For Hayes."
That one's for me. So there you go. I've become a charity kid.
The new Hayes is a fraud is a Snickers bar.
Yes, exactly. Hayes got robbed. And what I'm going to ask our boy Barry to do, one more shout out. Find the video of me circling back there looking and being perplexed.
I want it.
I need to see that video.
Bearcat, get at me, Bearcat, with that viz.
Find the viz of me rolling in there around 11:30.
If you pick the table, I could die a happy man.
Almost popped off.
Well, the video of actually the libero of breaking down of him circling back.
It's so phenomenal.
And putting the baggage. Hey, you got an extra bag for me?
I'm sure you're not busy here, Barry. You're just running a great golf course. I need to go take as much. Look at Barry. He's like, look at this guy. He's going to steal all of the candy.
Guys, this doesn't.
Has to be a flight. Look at the bag. Just so full.
Punching it open right there, getting it ready.
Here comes the Pink Panther on his way in. There he is.
And you're actually like circling.
But watch, I told you guys, watch.
The people come in.
Nobody's there.
That's them
no
right
one
there in
there.
the background.
No one there. And then I go to the table. Look at this flood of people while my back's turned.
That's
and
right.
They're all watching you.
All the biggest shooters from Lincoln and from basically the whole operation at TSN.
You turned around and realized
look at the lady. Look at that woman. She's like, look at this.
She's like, oh my God.
Look at this disgusting human being.
And you just turned around there. Oh my God, there's 20 people in the room. So then you
circle back is tough to watch.
Here he comes.
Did you add a bag of chips in there? Because you can see
everything.
the chips going in right there.
And one more.
There goes one more bag of chips.
So my last shout out is to John up in Tottenham. The reason I'm giving him a shout out, he's a big Barry Colts fan.
Oh, love it.
Huge. Colts are in the playoffs and they're playing really well right now. So a lot of like OHL, right? Memorial Cup around the corner.
Memorial Cup's going to be great. Massive game tonight. Game 7, Brantford.
I have no idea who they're playing.
Brantford's playing Barry.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I was pointing to you to say
I had no idea that's who they were playing. I just know that they won.
Barry Colts won the last game to force a Game 7.
Okay, so that would explain it. I didn't know that they were playing Brantford. I should probably know that, but I didn't know that. I just knew that they won the game.
Faces.
I have no
have
idea.
You drop the puck.
The Kitchener
Dude, you're the
Rangers.
OHL guy. I'm not the OHL guy anymore.
Mike McKenzie-led Kitchener Rangers.
I love that.
Are on to the finals.
But Brantford was a powerhouse all year.
Yeah.
And the Colts have got them on the ropes, so there you go.
Kitchener was a powerhouse when I was in junior.
Well, Scott Stevens, Al McInnes played there.
I was up.
They always had good players.
Always. I think Larry Robinson was a Kitchener Ranger, I believe.
There was a goalie they had, a guy named Mike Torchia.
Legend. Family friend.
Really?
Oh, yeah. My dad and his dad worked together. Mike Torchia, Dallas Stars.
Yeah, he was drafted in the 4th round of Dallas. He was the number 1 rated goalie in my draft. I was number 2. He ended up being the 3rd or 4th pick. Like this guy named Andrew Verner went to the Edmonton Oilers in the 2nd round. Then I went, and then Chris Osgood went, and then Torch went. He was awesome.
Who were studs for Kitchener when you played? Do you remember?
Yeah, Derek Roy.
Oh,
Derek Roy was a great player. Steve Eminger was a Ranger.
Emmy. I have buddies with him. He's awesome.
He was a really good player. They trying to think of who else they had. I mean, Landeskog went through there, right? Kadri played there. Mike Richards was one of the all-time great Kitchener Rangers. There's a great video of Kitchener London I believe it was the playoffs, and it's Corey Perry and Mike Richards toe-to-toe at center ice. It's an unreal tilt. Man. And they were both, I think, the captains of their teams and, like, great junior players. All-time great junior players.
My era, Trevor Gallant, what a player. Centerman. Matty Mullen, goaltender, and one of the greats of all time, Timmy Spitzig.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you remember Timmy Spitzig?
I know the name, yeah, absolutely.
Great man and a great player. Okay. Everyone in Kitchener knows and loves Timmy Spitzig.
I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. There's a lot of junior stars that never played pro. Or never had long careers at pro.
Zillions.
That's
when everybody says it's really difficult to make it to the NHL. Yeah. There is every year I'd come to training camp. This guy's like, I was the 1st rounder this year. Never see the guy again.
One of my best friends, Terry Degner, won the scoring race in the Western Hockey League. Mm-hmm. And we got offered a contract, ended up taking over the family business. Is this
here's Richards and
let's do it.
Perry,
center ice too.
Not captains. Perry's not a captain there, but I think
that's Corey really Perry.
Young. Yeah, that's Perry and Richards. And the best is they get out to center ice. They're in a corner.
That's right. That's junior, though.
Yeah, you're right.
In junior, you could be arguing with a guy
in the
playoffs.
I don't know if it's in the playoffs. I added that detail to
look at this.
Make it sound.
But these two, but Richards gets right up. Oh, yeah. Because Richards is like a Northern Ontario guy.
He's gritty.
Yeah, he's like gritty. Thunder Bay, I think.
Yeah, he might be from where Pronger's from.
Dryden?
Yeah, I think he might be like Dryden. Winnipeg or something.
Look at these guys throwing bombs at each other.
Yeah.
Like they were so good, so tough.
That's the thing. That's the top
junior player. Those are the two first-round picks.
Yeah.
Both in the same draft in the 03 draft.
I love it.
You know what's amazing is that Richards got drafted to Philly in the 03 draft in the 1st round. They also picked Jeff Carter in the 1st round. So Philly had Carter and Richards in the 03 draft in the 1st round. Anaheim took Perry and Getzlaff in the 1st round of that draft. Oof. You want to talk about setting your franchise down the right path?
Yeah.
If you're Anaheim, they won in 07. Those guys played a big role in that Stanley Cup.
Of course they did, yes.
And Philly made it to the Cup final in 09, and Carter and Richards were a huge part of that. And then they both ended up in L.A. and won 2 cups there.
I'll tell you, that was a nice circling job out to center ice. No one did it better. I think I was at the game, if I remember correctly. Gary Lehman and Denny Savard, Maple Leaf Gardens, I'm telling you, they went the whole perimeter. Joe from the Bridge, try to find it.
Denny Savard?
Denny Savard and Gary Lehman.
No way.
Maple 50 Leaf in the league, and Savard.
Yeah, I guess
Go from the Bridge, try to find it. I think they dropped the gloves, and they circled the entire ice.
I just never thought of Denny Savard as a fighter.
Dude, he wasn't, obviously. Neither was Gary Lehman.
Yeah, but they could. Back then, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were a skilled guy, still found a way to fight because they had to. They had to learn because they probably had to play in the minors or play at some level where some mutant was chasing them around. Like that's in the AHL, my first year, there were 10 skilled guys and 10 tough guys on each team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the skilled guys were really skilled, but they still had to find a way to navigate around the monsters out there.
Right.
And so they had to fight or at least defend themselves.
Well, and if there was a line brawl, it's like everyone's kind of pairing off.
Didn't matter.
Ray's coming up here in a moment. So the Habs
deserve a lot of credit.
Tons of credit. Like the amount of attention, and I understand it during watching the game, experiencing the game and looking at the shot clock. They literally had 0 shots on net in the second period. That is insane. Game 7s are very strange. They're very random. They're very unpredictable.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
Like the Habs don't have to explain themselves to anybody.
No way.
Right.
Like the idea that there's a lot being made of, hey, Tampa played this great game, and they did. They played very well.
It's about a break. It's about a shot from the point.
The game.
It's about a bank shot from behind the net. They won the game.
They won the game. Yes, and the Habs, and it's not like they were chasing the series the whole series or they were thoroughly outplayed. It was a great series.
Very even.
Newhook, it was a really nice play.
Awesome.
Like, it was a brilliant play. I don't know if he could possibly read that Vasilevsky was doing whatever he was trying to do, but to knock that out of the air was a great play by Newhook.
Vasilevsky trying to get back to the post. He just beat him there with the. But watch this. This is the best angle of it. Like, look at that. He banks off of him.
It's a bank shot.
But it's a great.
And let me just say this about the Tampa Bay Lightning. You can do whatever you want to do. I don't run the team. But if you think back to Chicago after they won their cups, they started getting pumped in the first round. It was the first sign the decline was starting. LA Kings pumped in the first round. They haven't got back. Pittsburgh Penguins start getting pumped in the first round. You got the Tampa Bay Lightning just have been pumped in the first round 4 years in a row. I'm not saying blow it up, but you got to look at things. Because if you think it's just going to magically turn around, it didn't for those other three pillar organizations I just mentioned. Guys get older, and it's just not going to get better. So do what you want with it.
I thought it was funny. A lot of people.
It's a trend. You start getting pumped in the first round.
People reaching out to me today going, I guess Kucherov's going to ask for out. They did it with McDavid. They've done it with Matthews. They're doing it with Brady.
Now, the difference
Kucherov wants out.
He's got 2 rings there.
Well, you're right.
Like there it is an important detail that he has won there.
He's got 0 points in his last game.
I thought he was awful last night. And I wouldn't say awful, but I didn't like his game.
I didn't like his game the whole series.
Yeah, I didn't. He wasn't a dominant player, and he has, like, during the regular season, he might win the Hart. Legitimately, the Hart and the Ted Lindsay. He's so good. And he just blended in last night.
Was Brandon Hagel.
Largely
Nick Paul, ghost. Gensel, ghost. Braden Point, ghost. Cirelli, ghost. There might be injuries involved there, but you did not notice those guys on the ice, and they're a massive part of their team.
They miss Hedman, too. And I don't know if Hedman's coming back.
But who knows what's going to happen with him? He's not a young guy anyway, right?
Right. Like, and it is, as much as we're talking Tampa, Montreal deserves a lot of credit. They didn't get pushed out. The series got tough. They stood up for themselves. Yes, they didn't get a shot on goal in the second, which is insane. That's never happened to the Montreal Canadiens organization ever. But they didn't get down on it. They just stuck with the game. The goalie made some saves. It wasn't like Tampa. Tampa had shots, but they weren't getting grade A's.
I didn't love their chances either.
They weren't getting grade A's where it was like pucks were getting through and the goalie made a couple really, really good saves. And that's why I hope Dobish is on your list.
Yes. Well, I was thinking about putting Marty St. Louis on, and I thought
for him
differently.
Doing the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not going to put coaches on there, but Marty, listen, he's a legend in Tampa and Montreal now.
Yeah,
like more so in Tampa. He won a cup there and a MVP and all that.
And another monster team out.
Yes, Tampa's out. Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Our good friend Ray Ferraro joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What'd you make of that Game 7 last night, Ray? Habs getting past Tampa.
Stunning. Like, not that they won, right? Like, they both had the same points all season, and the goals for and all that stuff when 1-goal games were all the same through the series. But to win it with 9 shots and the way they won it, stunning to me. And it's not even a debate, but Dobish went toe to toe with one of the very best of the last decade, and he beat him.
Yeah, he did.
To me, I don't know that I thought that they could win in that way, in that fashion. And they're a good team, right? I guess the other thing to it, I cannot believe that Kucherov stat. I thought I read it wrong. I went back and checked it, and I'm like, how could he not have a point in a Game 7? Like, how could he not?
Yeah.
And so whatever else happened to Tampa, whatever else happened in, their power play this or penalty killing that, one of the finalists for the Hart Trophy had no points in Game 7 again. He had a quiet series, and that affects not just him, but the other guys on that team. They all need him. And he didn't produce.
Yeah.
And that might be the difference right there.
He does have somewhat of a perplexing playoff history, Kucherov. They made it to the Cup final against Chicago in 15. He was statistically great. Obviously, the 3 straight Cup finals, he was unbelievable. He had what do you have, over 90 points in those 3 years. But the last 4 years, he's just kind of faded into the playoff rounds and never done anything.
Or swept by Columbus. He got suspended because he got frustrated.
That's right. That was in 18-19.
He's a guy who either dominates or you get pushed out of the game. There's no in between.
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
Noodles, I get to do a lot of their games, and so I'm down there. He wears it, like he wears his frustration very clearly. When it's not going well, you can see it, and it's not even so much that he's frustrated with anybody else. I don't think it's like he can't take a breath and push that aside. Like it's himself. He's like, I can't believe I'm not doing more here. Like you can just see it, and man, that was a tough way to go out yesterday. I mean, like, just think of the 2 goals. One of them's going 5 feet wide, and the other one they shoot off the goalie's ass, and it's in the net. And you're like, I'm sure they're there. Like, how did we lose? Like, what? But at the very end of the day, I didn't think Gensel had a great series. Kucherov did not, and he certainly didn't in Game 7. Point did not. Those are 3 of their 4 best offensive players. Hagel was great. And so the top of their roster, aside from anything else, the top of their roster just didn't quite come through.
So what is the limit here for the Habs, in your opinion? Like, how does that change your viewpoint of what they can do the rest of the way?
Well, I can't quite. I'm doing the Buffalo series last round, and I'm like, this isn't a team that was good for 3 weeks. Like, it was the middle of December. They've been the best team. And I'm like, but are they? I mean, like, right now, Alex Lyon's their goalie. And I'm like, is that enough to win? Well, maybe not. Maybe they go back to Luukkonen. So I look in this next year, and it's a long way of saying I don't know what I trust anymore. Because when the ball turns over like it is this year, right, some of the older teams are on their way out. Here come these new teams. I look at this series, and I'm like, Montreal has an edge in goal, for sure. I mean, Noodles, do you think that?
I do. This reminds me.
Just on this?
Well, I love Lyon. I think he's a great goaltender. I think he's done a very good job. But if you look at what Dobush has done, and I think this reminds me of Halak and Price. This is like they've got Price waiting in the wings. This Fowler kid is going to be a player. So to me, Dobush has got something. He's got lightning in a bottle right now. I don't know if this reminds me of that series where PK was an absolute beast, and it was Halak's net, even though Price is the heir apparent. So I do believe Montreal has the edge in net, but Lyon, if you look statistically, he's been unbelievable. And this is a guy who helped Florida get on that run, get into the playoffs. And same thing with Buffalo.
So I'm going to pick Buffalo in this series. And the reason I'm going to do it is I think their defense, their top 4, is really great. Like, I watched them in that last series. They're big. They're mobile. Their penalty killing is outstanding. I can't figure out why their power play is so bad. Like, they scored, I think, 1 power play goal in April. Like, how does that even happen? Like, I think it should be better. But I think Buffalo's pace and size, the defense, which I just mentioned, I think is great. I give them like a really slight edge in this series. But nothing that Montreal would do would surprise me anymore, because I was so impressed, like, with how they won. Like, they didn't win a bunch of 5-3 lucky bounce goal games and all that. It's like grind and grit and get in the mud. And, man, they did it just every bit as good as Tampa. I thought they were, in a big picture, they deserved to win. They were the better team.
Ray, you and Jamie have a unique perspective of the games being played because you're between the benches and you're up close and you see the pace and you see the speed and the skill of the players. And there's a cliche that's tossed around the National Hockey League, and it's a copycat league. So if it's a copycat league, Ray, what would you tell John Chaika that he needs to copy about how the game is played with successful teams right now?
Big and fast. And if you have any small guys, they have an engine that can drive them around the big and fast. So Now, I think Carolina's the most unique team in the league. I think they've been that way for a while. Like Logan Stankoven and Jackson Blake are little. But man, those guys, like they're short. They're not skinny thin, but they're short. But man, can they dart in the traffic. Like, can they? So that's how my little guys would be. I would want big, mobile defensemen, as much as you can find. I don't love the copycat league thing, only because you don't have the same players.
I get it. Yeah, I guess it would be a couple of takeaways then, not copycat, because they don't have the personnel.
First of all, I got to say, I couldn't be more stunned.
With what?
This is where the Leafs landed.
Well, they did their due diligence, Ray, and a lot of it.
Well, I heard that. He talked to different people than Steve.
Yes, he did. Very different people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that was the most inspiring news conference I've ever seen.
No.
So, I mean, I'm sure, and I guess it all can always work out. I don't know, but I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they are. I don't think you can delude yourself into thinking that this team is close, because they're not. You can't, whether people like Mitch Marner or not, you can't lose 100 points of creativity and say, oh, I'm glad he's gone, and we'll just fix it. Like, where are you finding those? Where are you finding that player? Nobody should be fooled with, oh, this Team A or Team B or the Leafs, they've got $20 million in cap space. So what? So does everybody else. The cap's going up. Everybody's got cap space all over the place. And by the way, there are no free agents. So if you're going to get into a trading scenario, who or what are you going to trade? There's not enough assets to trade forward. So I personally, when I looked at the Leafs and, you know, they let Brad go and they were going to hire whoever they did, my thought was, this is a time where you've probably got to spend a little time accumulating some assets as opposed to trading them off. I just don't. I don't see a quick fix. Like I know priority one, he said, was Chayka said, was to fix the blue line. With who?
No kidding.
And how are you getting them?
Yeah. No assets, Ray. No picks, no assets, no young players, bad roster. Just good luck with it.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's a time to turtle and to a little bit and say, like, we've got to accumulate some assets so we can have some options going forward. Like, I find it ridiculous when I hear people talking, you know, well, if they could, and I'm not talking specific to the Leafs because it's in almost any other place I hear too. Well, we need a scoring winger. We need a big mobile defenseman. We need a creative center. Yeah, good. Good for you. And you're getting them where?
You're just blowing smoke up people's asses. It's insane.
They've become buzzwords. That's what they are.
That's it. Yeah, you're blowing
buzzwords.
Smoke.
But it's like, okay, if you don't draft and develop them or find or have the currency to go and get them, you know, the Dylan Cousins deal, something like that, how Ottawa was able to, you know, a lateral move for Josh Norris, then how are you getting these players?
But you need the pick in the first place.
Right.
Like you need the asset in the first place. It doesn't matter. You can go backwards and litigate all the deals, but they blew out so many assets in the last 4 or 5 years, moving forward assets, that they have none left. Like the Carlo trade is an absolute disaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disaster. The first round pick for Scott Lawton turned into less. Disaster. First round pick for Nick Foligno, disaster. I mean, he got hurt, but disaster. Like, you can go through these first round picks were traded like for the immediacy, and I get it, and it's fine, except none of it worked. And now you have nothing to show for those picks and nothing to go forward with. So I almost, though I can equate it a little bit to Vancouver, like, apparently in their meetings, the prospective candidates are being asked, like, how long would the rebuild take? How would anybody know? Like, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take in Toronto? I don't know. I hope it's 2 years. Maybe it's 1. Might be 5. Like, what if, first of all, you got to get the picks. Then once you get these kids or you trade them for players, it might take them 18 months, 2 years to be effective in the league. Like there is, like, trying to put a timeline on this is nonsense. What has to happen is there has to be a plan, and the plan's got to be believable. It can't be fantasy land. They want to fix the defense? Good. Go fix it. With who?
Yeah. Well, and they got to stick to it too, right? And they got to make sure no one meddles in it. And that's always been the concern. Because I agree with you. Like, there's so much focus on what are you going to do with Craig Berube? What happens with Matthews in the next 2 years? And Willie, those are every GM, any GM that was going to come in is probably going to deal with it very similarly. And ultimately, ownership is going to be involved in that stuff. As much as you'd want to believe, hey, full autonomy. No, you don't. Not with Austin Matthews. No. The owner will make the call for the most part on what's going to happen with that.
Austin Matthews will.
Or Matthews will, and Willie will. And, with the coach, Berube, again, those are massive pillars of the immediacy. Yeah. But what Chaika can really do, I don't know if he's capable of doing this. Again, I have no idea. His track record would not suggest he will based on what happened in Arizona, but I understand it was a gong show in Arizona. It was barely a National Hockey League team. It was a disaster in terms of ownership and all the anxiety hanging around them. But I think what you're getting at, Ray, is something I totally agree with. They need a plan under the surface that actually works. Draft picks, developing, get the Marlies going again.
Yes.
Find college free agents that work. Go to Europe and find people in Sweden that are 24, 25 that fell through the cracks that you believe actually have that engine you're talking about. That's where, if this guy's got the work ethic to do it and the angles and the viewpoint that other people don't, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what you're doing with Austin Matthews today or Craig Berube today. I don't need to know that today. But you better have told ownership and everyone else, this is what I'm doing with all the rest of the organization, because this team's going to be around long after Matthews leaves and Nylander leaves and Berube's fired if he is. And that's really what's going to matter for the betterment of this team 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
And still after that, things might not work out. You look at what Detroit has done. They've drafted well. Everyone keeps saying, oh, look what Detroit does. Everyone's right from the minors. They put in their time, draft, develop, Guess what? It's gotten them.
Still no guarantee.
Jack squat.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, I guess it becomes at the end is the plan. The internal plan has to be one that's realistic. I often wonder about when guys get these jobs in teams that are in turmoil, which I guess is the reason why there's a new general manager, is that part of their message is full of it. And the people above them go, oh, yeah, I like that, because that'll be a little quicker. I've not seen anybody turn it around quick. I've not. And if you're in the 75-point range or whatever, some of those teams are, it just doesn't happen fast. Like, look, Chicago's had first round pick. Like, wait till they get this Frondell kid in next year, and people get to watch him. He's a terrific, unreal prospect, like Leo Carlson-like prospect. He's 19 years old, and that's one. You need 5. You need 7. Where do you get them? It takes time. Yeah. And so I don't know if that was part of Chaika's sell, that it does take time, or if part of the sell becomes, oh, this can be quick. Because if anybody's buying quick, I'm not.
Not going to work.
And not just in Toronto. I do not think quick works. And like I said, I'm just stunned that this is where they landed. But this is where they are, and I guess everything will get evaluated on what the performance is from here forward.
Ray, we got to fly, bud, but I need one quick favor on your way out the door.
Yeah.
Can you call Predator Ridge for me and find out on May 30th who the foursome is that's teeing off first, and let them know I'll pay for their golf if they just let me and Frankie Corrado slide in ahead of them.
They don't work that way. Wes.
No, just I'll pay for their golf.
That could have been a text.
Yeah, that probably is a text, not an live on air ask.
Go ahead, Ray.
But here's the thing. I know for certain they have a phone.
Yes, that's true,
but
too.
Dude,
Pro Shop.
You're a legend from Trail, BC. You have a lot more pull. All we want to do is play Predator Ridge on our day off at the Memorial Cup. The first group out on May 30th, I'll buy you lunch and pay for your golf if me and Frankie could just go first.
I guarantee you those guys golfing are worth $150 million or more. So they don't need a free lunch.
Now, despite, they're not going to accept it.
Are you right? Am I right, Ray?
You may have hit the bell right there.
All right. We'll make a call. Ray's on it. Ray's got nothing else to do. But
May 30th, first group. Everything's on me.
I'm just going to go for warm-up here for Carolina. Yeah, so as soon as I finish, I'll make sure I get right on that.
Thank you. Let us know ASAP. Thanks, buddy.
See you, boys. We'll talk soon.
Ray Ferraro joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Red Tag Days are here. Check out the Toyota Tacoma and Toyota Tundra pickup trucks, both available as hybrids. There's a Maple Toyota near Canada's Wonderland of the Maple Auto Mall. All right, something to chew on still to come. Got my bar play B listing, right?
Yeah,
updated.
love it.
We got to get to that, right? Jay's Heineman's in the doghouse, man. Something went on there with him and John Schneider.
Manager's decision.
Yeah, after
Something's
he
up,
hits.
man.
I mean, he swung at that first pitch. And I don't think John was ecstatic about that. And
I think Johnny wants to stuff him into a garbage.
I don't think he's happy with Heineman.
Fishy.
He is dying for Kirk to return.
Yeah.
Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to. He is dying for Kirk to return.
But shouldn't you always have a backup catcher that's just like...
Heineman was really good last year for them. Right? But when you lose your ace, like Kirk is so important to this team.
I told you, man. That's why I love that Danny Jansen. Just kind of a backup type guy.
He'll be back sooner than later.
Yeah.
And Barger's right around the corner as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Best bets coming up later in the hour. Got my bar playlist. Got to update that in a few minutes. The second round is officially off and running. Carolina just, we'll skunk Philly game 1, 3-0, no problem.
Yeah, they look good.
9-6 Avs over the Wild in 1985 last night. 14 different goal scorers.
That was
14 different guys.
Goalies didn't have a great night, but it was like there was some skill on display.
Man, McCarr and Hughes on the ice at the same time for 7 games.
Unreal.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
That's a Stanley Cup final in any if they played in different divisions or different conferences. But they're
right.
Two really good teams. Because some great hockey for sure.
Yeah, they should be the favorite. Whoever gets out of that alive, right?
Yep.
Likely will be the favorite.
You got to get out healthy, though. That's the biggest thing.
Big part of it.
Interesting to see, Vegas, Anaheim. Like, I wonder if Anaheim young guys just not afraid of the moment, or if Vegas. And Vegas looks like they found something too, though. Your buddy Mitch Marner.
Yeah, but Utah had them on the ropes a couple times.
So what?
Like
they found a way and they got
did.
it done. Watch out. I think the Vegas train is rolling and they're dangerous.
Okay, well, that leads me to my bar playlist. Now, number 5, you guys are going to be disappointed here, but I have Dobish at 5 because he's been on the list like the whole time.
Fair enough.
At some point, the bouncer's like, dude, you come here every night.
Well,
like
played that well. He deserves to be here.
But I didn't think, I know he made a lot of stops yesterday. I didn't think it was like stand on your head out of this world.
The game, but he made a couple timely saves.
Dude,
the one
number
on Radish.
5, bro?
The
one on
I'll
Radish.
Explain.
The one save on Radish on the.
There's no way in hell you got a guy at 1 ahead of Jakub Dobish.
Yes, I actually have a teammate at 1.
Oh.
I mean,
Nick Suzuki.
No.
Hang on.
It's the other guy that
Give me
scored.
4. Number 4.
Okay, number 4, I got Cale Makar after last night.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, like I was thinking about this. I'm like, I got to have some Avalanche on this list.
Yeah,
I had
all
3
they've done
points
is
last
won.
night, 2 goals.
All they
It
do
was
is
unbelievable.
win.
All they do is win. They haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
They're 5-0.
Okay.
Best team in the league.
100%.
Cale Makar, I got a 4.
I got to say one thing about Makar and McKinnon. Like, it's just like describing Mario Lemieux. As good as viewing it on TV as you thought he was, it's 20 times better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not even believable. And I think the same applies for him and McKinnon. Like, they're 20 times better than what you think they are.
Mm-hmm. And watching it live would be so special.
Oh, if you had 5 rows up watching those animals out there
center
dominate
ice,
games.
watching those two just go out there like bulldogs. Every
Hockey
single
porn.
night. Yes. Well, yes. Number 3, Mitch Marner.
Oh.
Great selection. I'm happy for Mitch. He's had some good games. He's getting it done.
Listen, a lot of people pointing out Game 6, all of a sudden, we all know the story. We all know the stats in Toronto, right? It never happened. He never made a play like that. He never made a play like any of those plays in the biggest games for the Leafs. This clapper, that's a big goal, man, by Mitch Marner.
Yeah, it hits Cole's.
Hell, it went in. He shot off a lot of guys' shin pads against Boston and Tampa and Florida and Columbus and Montreal and Washington. And you go on and on and on. All the different shin pads he faced when he was a Leaf, none of them went in. But he's got 2-1 in the biggest closeout game of his Vegas career. He was great that night.
You know what the
Mitch
difference
Marner
is, Hazy B. Liston? The difference is in Vegas, he's a part of the mix. He's a part of the team. There are so many other good players around him. Look at the depth. We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the season, and he's just a good player amongst them.
Yep, that's right.
In Toronto, Mitch deserves some criticism for his performance in Toronto. But every big game, it was like, oh, Mitch better score. He sucks. And that was the mentality. And when he didn't get it done, all the blame, him and Austin Matthews. It's like there was no depth around him. No one else contributed. There was no one else to
Brett
ride.
Howden around.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
Brett Howden to score a big OT winner.
Yeah.
Dorofeyev.
Yes.
Stone.
William Karlsson. Stone.
He's back, William Karlsson. Yeah.
Riley Smith.
Yeah.
Kolasar. It goes on and on and on.
They're a good team. But Mitch deserves to be on your list.
Yeah, Mitch Marner.
Good for him.
He's got
Good
bar
for
play in
him.
Vegas. Right now.
I'm proud of you for recognizing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number 2, Logan Stankoven.
Yeah.
2 again yesterday. Dude, Stankoven and Blake, the two of them.
Aaron Korolnik.
Rantanen who?
Yeah, exactly. Crazy. Rantanen's teeing off. He's playing golf in Finland right now, and Stankoven's still playing and dominating. And someone, like a Canuck fan, posted this and was just like in tears because the combination of cap hits for Stankoven and Blake is $11.6 million.
Oh, no.
The exact same as Elias Pettersson. So you got these two because Blake can play, man. He buzzes, and he's a gamer as well.
Really good player.
The two of them, they got term. They're both on term like for 8 years and
They're
a
not
combined
big,
cap hit of 11.
Jam too.
But they fight for position. They don't get pushed out of plays.
You know what that is? The coach goes, this is how you're going to play for me, or you're not going to play.
Rod Brindamore.
They did his due diligence on Stankoven.
They sure did.
Yeah.
They sure did. Stankoven, he's cruising around the old bars that you used to hang out at Raleigh, North Carolina.
Probably not, man.
Number 1, I got Alex Newhook. He scored the goal. In Montreal, dude, that's a famous goal for a long time.
That's a Stefan Matteau goal.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, it's the first round, but the Habs have been waiting to win for a long time.
And that's a big team.
And it's Montreal.
That was a cup contending team you took out.
I think you did OverDrive a disservice. You got it wrong. Jakub Dobish 1, Newhook 5.
Well, it's an interesting question. Like in Montreal, I'm curious today.
Who would they
Who's
want
getting
on?
more love? Like, yeah, if you could go have a beer at a place on Crescent, would you go with Newhook or Dobish?
I mean, Dobish, the 1-0 loss, like he's been awesome.
He's been so good. And
good
Newhook is a depth player. Like Newhook is.
But again, I think it's Newhook, and I'll tell you why. Just because that's the goal they're going to circle.
Yes,
you're not.
That's what I'm saying.
There's not a save where Dobish pulled it off the line where you're like that. The game-saving save.
That Hagel pulling it off the line at the end of the game on Slavkovsky should have been one of the all-time great plays in NHL.
That guy didn't give up on it.
Slavkovsky will be shook after that. That is like
if they came back and scored, though.
That's what I'm saying. If Tampa ties it and wins it in overtime, that turns into one of the
that would have been Patrick Stefan on steroids.
Yeah, you're probably right.
On steroids.
Yeah, because even that you got to score the goal.
It was like just a little backhand chip.
I think of stuff like that. Remember Mason McTavish?
Yes,
in World Juniors pulled it off the line.
Brilliant.
That was going in.
That's right.
Won.
And then they end up winning that game.
Yeah.
By the way, I love that kid, Mason McTavish. Really good player.
Yeah. I'll see what he's got against Vegas.
Hugh Healthy scratched him near the end of the year. Got him going.
Little jab. All right, something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoffs, BP summoning the hockey gods to tilt the ice in Canada's favor. Join us and feast like a hockey god on our new playoff venues. See you for Puck Drop at your local BP. Been asking people, tons of reaction online. Who's under the gun the most for the Leafs? Chaika, Sundin, or Pelly? And Sundin's getting no votes. Like Matt's, no, like again, because I don't think he's got the final say. It sounds like Chaika does. We don't know that, but it sounds like he does. And Matz is kind of there to bring.
Did Rosie
positive.
ever get the answer to that question?
No, Pelly didn't really answer it. Keith Pelly's running away with this. But the reality is Keith Pelly.
It's Chaika.
I think it's Chaika. Chaika's the GM now. He's got to make the moves.
Exactly. Like Keith Pelly put him in the spot. Pelly is, if that question was who long-term has the most pressure, it could be Chaika, but it's Pelly for the hire. Because if it doesn't work out, it's like that was your hire.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the most pressure is John Chaika because he's going to figure out where he's drafting tomorrow. If he gets the pick, if he doesn't.
And we're going to be on the air tomorrow. We want to point that out. We're doing a live show tomorrow, like just after 7 o'clock.
We're going to build
YouTube, radio. It'll be up, podcasted, everything.
And I'll
say full reaction tomorrow.
I'll say it again, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Keith Pelly needs to just disappear for a year and a half, not be in front of a microphone. He's had a disastrous couple months here. Stop doing pressers. It's your worst event. In the Olympics, stay away from the pressers. Terrible.
Yeah, he looked and felt uncomfortable today. And
I know,
he's aware. He's a Toronto guy.
He doesn't know what he...
No, I get it.
But awful.
He knows what's going on in the city right now.
If you were so excited about the hire, don't you like prop this up? You don't do it on a Sunday night and it 3 hours before the Raptors game and all of that. They looked today that they just wanted to get through it because it is an out-of-the-box hiring. It is outside-the-box thinking. If they were like, hey, we landed Julian Brisebois or hey, we landed Bill Zito or whatever, to me, this is like something that's celebrated.
They're parading these guys around.
It looked like they just wanted to get through it and let John's work speak for itself, which is fine. But they're well aware of potential blowback of thought process.
It's a boom or bust.
Stuff.
It's a boom or bust play.
I think they did what they did. They got through today, and now they got to get to work. That's the way I would look at it because everybody looked uncomfortable other than Matz.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. Matz just was up there like, hey, it's all good. I don't know what these guys are saying, but happy to be here. Love being here. Love being back in Toronto. Committed. Let's get rocking.
And I don't think
very excited. I think he struck all the right chords, Matt Sundin.
And I don't think John Chaika's a guy who's now he's going to have to get used to it. He got a lot of attention now. He didn't get any attention in Arizona,
and he knows that.
Yep, but
he's from Southern
Jamie,
Ontario.
I told you they've all started with an uphill climb, regardless of the product on the ice. Just because people are rubbed the wrong way and all the nonsense that's come out about the organization with prices and this and that. They got an uphill battle right now.
Yep. They got work ahead of them.
That's right.
What it is.
All right, Best Bets coming up. OverDrive continues up on YouTube Live.
NASCAR action here on TSN and TSN Plus.
The 2026 World Hockey Championship on TSN.
Back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Jays are in tough, man. They're down at the Trop. The Rays are red hot. Like red hot.
Of course they are. The Jays are in town.
They're 21-12 right now. I think they're 9-1 in the last 10.
Red hot. They were going to bounce back.
Yes, every year.
That's
exactly. They were like
Kevin
500.
Cash in the dugout every year.
Eric Lauer on the mound tonight. I'm going to take the over in this game. Well, Okamoto's red hot too, man. I went into a store, this Team Town Sports. The only jersey I saw from the Jays was a 7 Okamoto jersey.
I think he's got 8 home runs. Vladdy's got 2.
Yeah, Okamoto's the hottest bat in the lineup right now. Absolutely the hottest bat in the lineup right now.
Vladdy's.
And I think it continues at the Trop. Vladdy will get cooking. Don't worry. He'll be fine. Taking the over tonight. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay on every Major League Baseball game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19+, physically located in Ontario. Raptors out. They battled. No home team lost, though, man. And when you don't have home court advantage, you're in big trouble. Big trouble.
That second half was atrocious.
Yeah,
First half was great.
They just ran out of gas, man. And, Ingram out, quickly out. They don't have the shooting. They don't have the offense. They got a lot of work to do there, too. Had a really positive season. Really positive. Made the playoffs. They're a hardworking team, likable team, but that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
They got to make some moves there, and they got to have a big offseason. So we'll see what the Raptors have in store. We'll see what happens with the draft lottery tomorrow. So OverDrive on usual timing tomorrow. But we're going to be in here doing a
bonus show.
They Did It, Naylor bonus show tomorrow night.
We're going to have to pull that sound.
We might have to. I've tried to get it deleted from every possible place on earth, but we might bring it back.
Can we do 2 or 3 trial runs?
Yes, tomorrow.
On the sim.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Sim's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, the Leafs, right?
All
There's a
in
lot
it.
of Canadian content in there.
Yeah.
So it's a big night tomorrow night. The Stanley Cup playoffs continuing. Jay's down at the Trop. NBA playoffs continuing. And, again, we're right around the corner from the PGA Championship. So a lot going on in the sports world. We love it. All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and, of course, up on YouTube Live. Every show streaming live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
I've heard you're a con man. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
They did it, Naylor!